couple quick things. I think it's really important as an entrepreneur, as a leader, to understand your values. It's also important if you're going to work for somebody else to understand the values of the people you work with, because inevitably they are your values. Do yourself a favor. If you're working somewhere and your values are not in line with the place you're working, leave. Quit. Go somewhere else and do something else. Those are my big ones. And then you need to own your power. How many people in here have power? Hands. Do you know what your powers are? Can you express them? These are mine. The last one's a good cloaked way to say I sell shit to people. And I am a huge believer in this, right? If you can't bet on yourself, you got nothing. So if you take nothing else away from this, take that. Okay, so I can talk about anything you want to talk about, and I'm here to be of service to you. Who has questions?
Okay, so I know you do startup, and you basically help people to sell that. What if we have a business that we're not looking to sell, but we're looking to expand and grow franchise-wise? Do you help with that?
I will help with anything I'm interested in. I've been lucky to get to a place where I only work on stuff I want to work on. So I'm happy to talk to you. Look, when I moved here, this is one of the super interesting and strategic values of this city. Pretty much anybody here will take a meeting with you, right? When I got here in 1990, I had no business getting the meetings I got, but I got them anyway because that's how this community's built. And we need to keep doing that. It's why when Josh asked me to show up, I show up. If somebody asked me to coffee, I go to coffee with them. Now, there's a limit to that. And there are people who pay me an enormous amount of money to rent my brain by the hour. So I'm very careful about what I say yes to, because inevitably it turns into a bunch of work, right? And you make that commitment, and then, I don't know about y'all, but I have to follow through. Once I say I'm doing it, right? Okay, go.
How do you know when to exit?
When the right size check appears. I will tell you this, so on my first deal, where I really learned a big chunk of the skills that I brought into the second half of my career, what you want to do is you want to build a great company. If you build a great company, somebody at some point will want it. And you will have the option to give it to them at a price or not, right? If you get into a position where you've built something really wonderful and somebody wants it, you want to go try to find 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 other people who want it too. It's called an auction. So my company, the first company we sold for $25 million. The original bidding price was $12.5. So we basically doubled the value of the business by creating an auction amongst competitors who needed what we had, right? So that's the answer is you'll know, right? It'll feel like it's time, and someone with a check will show up.
So I have a branding agency, and I have a lot of clients who I do branding strategies with, and a lot of us are doing personal brands and things like that now. What advice would you give to me to tell my clients, if they maybe want to start their business with the thought of selling it, right? So a lot of times people want to put their names in their businesses or, kind of make it more personalized. Is there anything you can tell me that can kind of...
I mean, the shorthand is start with the end in mind, right? So I have built my career flipping companies. That's how I operate. Not everybody operates that way. You're going to hear from Clint Smith today, who built his company over a longer period of time, right? My goal was to build to sell. So I think start with the end in mind. And then based on that, you're going to make a whole bunch of decisions based on where you want to end up. Now, the reality is the path is not clear and straight. The path is full of this and full of this and full of this, and there is no guarantee you'll get there, but the reality is that if you intend to go there, so I like to drive fast cars. What they tell you in driving fast cars is the car goes where your eyes go, right? So that's life. The car goes where your eyes go. Other questions? Oh, one more thing, personal brand. Super important for consistency, super important for modern business, unfortunately, because it is also a giant time suck. So.
What has been most consistent in your transactions when you sold your businesses?
Most consistent meaning, it sucks. It sucks. It's hard. It's when you're selling a business or when you're raising money for a business, they're separate jobs. So if you're running the company and you're in a transaction, you're really doing two jobs at once. If you're selling a business for a multiple that's high, there's two schools of thought on this. I prefer to hire a banker, right? I want a bad cop, and I don't want to be the bad cop. I want to be the guy that they want to love, right? I want them to hate my banker and love me. I think that is a better route. You can represent yourself, but it's really challenging.
Did you hire an appraiser?
No.
Okay.
Oh, we got one behind you. Go, sir.
All right, particularly in our community, we're known, we call each other sellouts when we sell our businesses, right? So we tend to hold on to our businesses due to, let's say, knowledge of self or ownership. How did you detach emotionally to when you sold your businesses? What is the best advice you could give us so we don't hold on to our businesses with the understanding that acquisition is the way to build wealth and truly leave legacy?
So I would answer that with two ways. There are certain things that I own that are not for sale, and those are where I put my energy and emotion. My home place, my people, the charities I work with. That's one side of the world, right? On the other side, you have to become emotionally attached to the business to be successful, right? It's a mandate. You have to get up and eat and breathe and sleep and do the whole thing 24/7. There will be a period of grief when you sell your business. It's impossible for there not to be. For me, mine came 2 years after I sold it while I was in London, and I spent 2 days in a hotel room with the shades drawn, feeling like I wanted to kill myself, right? Because I spent 10 years of my life building this organization, building these relationships, doing this work for clients, and you can't help but become emotionally invested.
Well, what I mean by detaching, meaning from the society expectations of us owning businesses and the vitriol we receive when we are ready to sell our businesses and being called certain names. How do you detach from that? Build that noise.
Well, that's easy. Just fuck those people. I mean,
That's what I wanted to hear.
no. Like,
Because, when I say it, I get called crass. That's not what it is. But I wanted to hear a multi-millionaire say what I've been preaching for the longest. Fuck these people.
yeah, fuck them. Rated R. The rated R section of the the program. What else? Go.
How do you separate your business and consulting?
I'm kind of a weird hybrid. So after building and selling that company, we went from 4 employees to over 100 offices in 5 cities representing the biggest entertainers on the planet, right? I loved every minute of that work and never want to do it again, right? So I don't operate anymore. I hate operating. Customers and employees are the 2 problems with operating. But without those, you don't have a company. So what I have done is stepped 1 layer back, and my work is so I specialize in 2 areas. Founders, I like to be really close to the deal when it's early. 0 to 1 is where all the fun is, right? It's when you're not going to the marketing meeting, and then the finance meeting, and then the HR meeting, and then the blah, blah, blah meeting. You're in the trenches digging in the dirt, and it's super hard, and it's super fun, right? Consulting is another matter. When I consult for people, the last big consulting job I did was for an $85 billion bank. I worked directly for the CEO, and I'm bad at math, right? So my job there was not defined when I came in, except to say, figure out what you think needs to be fixed here. You got a month, and then come back to me. Right? So that was fascinating. The C-suite in big institutions is full of ego. And little old me here did not give two shits about any of that, right? And the work was incredibly gratifying. The best part about consulting is you can file it under not my problem, right? It's like, hey, here's what I think you should do. You don't want to do it, you still pay me, and I still keep going. I do like consulting at a high level, but it's hard. That's a hard tranche too. Yeah.
Would you ever recommend starting a business that you don't plan on being like a big part of, like operating?
I would recommend if you are going to invest as an investor, that you understand. I'll give you a really simple premise. When you slide the check across the table, pretend that you're never getting it back. It's as simple as that. You're taking a risk. My risk profile is really high, right? I like to go in early. I like to go in when things are really volatile. There are 4 things that drive economic value for an investor: timing, team, plan, and financing. Of those 4, 80% are 2. Which 2 are they? My man, you nailed it. 55% is timing. The rest is team. Your plan will be wrong, guaranteed, right? You will miss, hopefully on the upside, but not likely. And your financing is only important if you have some dipshit investor. Write this down. It's better to take no money than it is to take dumb money. Dumb money is very difficult and very complicated, and you will spend a lot of time managing a relationship you don't like. So just say no.
Hey, I'm a mental health therapist, and I'm gonna shoot my shot. Do
Go.
you have a therapist?
I do.
Okay, and if you are someone who needs a grief and loss therapist, I am one right here in Nashville, Tennessee. So I am open for clients, and so mental health is important with business owners.
Yes. So, how many people in here have a business? How many people feel like you're failing or that you're a fraud sometimes? Ding, ding, ding. Okay, so I will add one thing for y'all. How many of you have a hard time quieting your mind? How many of you have ever tried meditating? How many of you manage a regular meditation practice today? That's good. So for my monkey mind, I need meditation. I meditate twice a day for 20 minutes at a time. If I cannot give myself 20 minutes, I'm going to be no good to anybody else, right? And so I have to care for me first. And my default setting is the opposite. My default setting is to care for everything else around me before I take care of me. And you got to stop that shit. You're welcome.
So my question is, if you could go take a trip back down memory lane to your first business, first start, you first seeing that, hey, this is more than I can take on myself. What, at this stage in the game of where you are, what would be the top 3 things you would tell yourself to do to go from where you are to that next level?
I would do my best to shut that voice off that says I can't, that I'm no good, that I don't know who I am, that I don't know what I'm doing. The self-defeating attitude is a big battle, I think, for all of us. 1. 2, I would never have a 50-50 partnership again. Ever. To quote George W. Bush, we need a decider. Sorry, I can't believe I pulled a Bush quote out in this room. And then lastly, what I would say is that, you know, one of my partners used to say this all the time. At some point, you just got to fucking start, right? So you can sit around your table and plan and plan and plan and plan, but you won't really know anything until you get into the water. So just get out and start going. And recognize that failure is part of success. Failing is the thing that drives success. It's the difference between everybody, not everybody else, but other people and me is every time I get knocked off, I get back on, right? I'm in a deal right now where our unit economic went from $7,500 a unit to $200 a unit. And you're out of business literally overnight. You wake up and you're out of business. The market drastically changed and you're done. That company's still alive and she's gonna drink some of it later, right? So a lot of it is just never fucking give up, ever.
What's the process of getting you to invest?
It's simple. You ask me to go to coffee. Huh? Here's my card. Okay. So you just put an M at the front and a .com at the back. It's a pick. Whoa, Jesus! I'm feeding back. I've got more somewhere. I'll get you some. All right. And the real answer for me as an investor is simple. I bet on timing and team. I don't care your plan's wrong. I want to look at your capital stack because I want to make sure you don't have any idiots in it. And if you do, I'll tell you you've got an idiot in it, and then I'll walk away. I already own that T-shirt. Not doing it again. What else? How are we doing on time? I don't want to hog the ball here. Okay, cool. Other questions?
You like Blue Mountain coffee? Because I want to take
Oh, hell's bells. I like Blue Mountain coffee. Yes. So I'll give you my email address so it's easy. The letter M at hellomarco.com. I do sometimes have long legs in responding to email. I get a lot of email. So if you don't hear from me, be respectfully persistent, but don't be annoying. The letter M at hellomarco with a K right up there, .com. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to that website. There's all kinds of crazy shit up there. I used to have hair down to my ass. I played in metal bands. That's how I got here, was touring. So there's all kinds of stuff up there. I was a photographer at one point. I've been an art director. I've done a lot of jobs.